What's happening, YouTube? Paul Friedman here, and today we're going to be talking about the SLR Magic Micro Primes. Let's jump in. What's happening, guys? Thanks for joining us here today. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Paul Friedman. Behind the camera over there, we got Spencer Mandel, and together we make Maine Mountain Media. We are a video and photography company based here in the state of Maine. We are specifically in the Mid-Coast area, and today we're gonna be doing a gear review for you today. Specifically, we're gonna be talking about the SLR Magic Micro Primes for the Fujifilm X-mount. Now, they do make these same lenses for a couple different mounts. I think Micro Four Thirds and the Sony E-mount, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm missing something. But we are, as you may know or may not know already, Fujifilm X-T3 video shooters. Today I'm actually specifically shooting on the Fujifilm X-T3, and actually the lens on the camera right now is the Sigma 18-35 f1.8. An amazing lens, super duper awesome. And I highly recommend that to anyone, but sometimes you just gotta shoot a prime lens. Sometimes you gotta get a cinema lens, something specific to video, and this series has proven to be a super strong tool in our arsenal. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the physical form factor, the quality of construction. We're gonna be talking about the image reproduction. Obviously, that's the most important piece. And we're gonna be talking about who these lenses might be correct for and who might not wanna get these lenses. So let's dive in. First of all, the two that I have here today are the 50mm T1.2 and the 25mm T1.5. This is sort of on a Super 35 or APS-C crop sensor. You're looking at somewhere around a full frame equivalent of a 35mm and a 75mm. So you've got your sort of standard wide angle and your medium telephoto. So you got your wide and you got your tight. These are perfect combo. I got Spencer on the 25 and I'll be running with the 50 most of the time. And that's just a great, great combination for us. Minimum focus distance lets us get nice and close to our subjects over here. We got plenty of, shallow depth of field. You can get super sharp images. Because they are a matching set, means the color reproduction between these two is matched, and we don't really need to be doing any sort of like taking that extra step in our grading process to get each of these lenses to match up with the other one. These are a great set of lenses to have, and I think anybody would be happy to have them, especially at the price point. And I hate to use that as like a qualifier or a piece of consideration. I think, especially for professionals, it should be about the quality first, second, and third, and then way down the road, you can start thinking like, oh, okay, let's add the qualifier for the price, or if you're on a budget. I mean, I don't love to do that. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the whole if you're on a budget or for the price qualifiers. I'm asking the question, is it a good lens, period? And the answer to you today is yes. Yes, it's a good lens, period. For the price or otherwise. I mean, they could ask more than they do. They could probably also ask less than they do. And either way, it's still a good lens. So I think, who is this lens correct for? I think it's correct for people who are video shooters out there trying to use mirrorless cameras, or I don't think they work on any DSLRs to my knowledge. I think they are, the only mounts they've chosen are mirrorless camera systems. So correct me if I'm wrong on that front, but if you're a mirrorless camera shooter and you're shooting, video with a mirrorless body, or some of those, some of the Sony bigger bodies that still have the Super 35 sensor, these are an awesome option. And for us, we are Fuji X-mount shooters, and having a native X-mount on a CINE lens is super, super awesome. We're really excited when we found these. They are all metal construction. They have sort of that standard gear with a 0.8, I don't know, whatever the standard size is for follow focus gearing. They have the gear both on the iris or aperture control, as well as the focus ring. The focus and aperture or iris ring are both beautifully dampened. And one complaint when we were looking at these lenses before we bought, we read and heard other reviewers saying that they had issues with the sound of the ring. As you twisted it, there was this like distinct metal on metal scraping sound. I don't know if those were bad copies or older versions, or if maybe we got lucky or they got unlucky, but we don't have that issue. They are beautifully dampened, they're silent. One thing that I will note is we use the Landpart follow focus system, which if you've seen our XT3 video rig YouTube video that we have posted, I'll link it up, whichever corner it'll be on, one of these corners. You can check that one out. That's our whole rig build from ground up. If you check that out, you'll see we use the Landpart follow focus system. And when we are using the Landpart follow focus system, when the gear sits into these teeth, it fits perfectly. But because these are metal, as you twist, if you twist really fast, you get this sort of a clicking sound as each gear falls into place against the metal. I don't know if that's a common issue with cinema lenses. These are sort of our first venture into the cine lens prime, area of the industry. So maybe that's a thing that you guys have a solution for. If you have a solution for us, please let us know in the comments below. We want to know about it. But in the past, we've always shot crossover. So we've always used our SLR lenses, and then we would fit them with sort of like the adjustable gears, or get like the custom fitted rubberized gears that attach to the cling to the focus ring around the lens. And so because that's got that rubber texture to it, it doesn't make the same sound. That's something worth noting, although it hasn't been an issue for us, because it would really, the only way you'd ever hear it would be to do like a super fast focus pull from across, spanning a huge distance. If you're going from 12 feet to 3 feet, it's like that much. So that's whatever it might be, 7 different little gear changes. So that's not a huge, if you're doing like the full focus pull, like bang all the way in from minimum to maximum, you'll hear that noise. But in practice, in the real world, it hasn't been an issue for us. Just something worth noting. It's super satisfying though. I'm gonna hold this up to the mic for you guys and sort of just spin the focus pull from infinity all the way into the minimum focus distance and back again. So listen to this. All right, so I don't know if the mic's picking up anything. I can't hear it, and I'm, this close. It doesn't make a perceptible or a negative noise for me. So that's something to think about. Check out, when you get a copy, make sure you check that out, because other people have had bad luck with that. But no issues over here. You do hear that one click at the end of the hard stop when you get to the end of the focus pull. I'm not ever really quickly focusing to infinity or quickly focusing to the minimum focus distance. It's usually from 3 feet to 4 feet, or 12 inches to 16 inches from, so that's never been an issue for me in practice, in the real world when I'm filming. But something to note, hopefully that was a helpful show there. So let's get these caps off. We got the 25 here. And here we have the beautiful 50 millimeter T1.2. So pretty awesome setup. You can see right through these suckers. Obviously the 50 millimeter T1.2 is huge, and a little bit smaller on the 25 T1.5 for physics reasons. I don't know, but it's a 25 millimeter T1.5. So obviously that would be a smaller opening than this, because of math, but generally speaking, these are almost as bright as each other in terms of the amount of light getting through, but they're a little soft wide open. You've probably read that in reviews. If you're here, you've probably looked at these lenses before, and if you have, then you already know that there is a small amount of softness. There's a lack of sharpness, certainly at the corners, definitely a little bit in the middle even, and a bit of like chromatic aberration, and some, sort of just those standard issues that you'll have when shooting wide aperture primes, especially the slightly, lower echelon, like, less cheaper, if you will, the cheaper lenses, if you will. These are cheaper micro primes. So, that's something to be, aware of, but it also, for me and Spencer, when we're shooting these lenses, we're not trying to shoot that super cheesy, like unbelievably shallow depth of field. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to say shallow depth of field is cheesy. It serves its purpose, and there are specific scenarios where a super fast aperture and a super paper thin shallow depth of field is necessary. I find it's way more necessary in the photo realm and less necessary in the video realm. I think the video realm, if you're looking for that cinematic look, kind of like to live between the 2.8 f4 world, which, you know, we got the Super 35, the APS-C size sensors. So we're sort of in the f2 to f2.8 range a lot of the time. That allows us to shoot indoors with plenty of light, not having to boost our ISO too high. But of course, for anyone who's aware, the X-T3 and most modern cameras do really well with higher ISO counts. So you can get away with shooting, you know, ISO 1250, 1600, 2500, and it's a usable shot, no problem. So if you're ever in a scene that's super duper dark and you need to shoot a micro prime and you got it wide open at 1.2 and you got your ISO boosted, you're still gonna get a good, usable, professional quality shot out of these lenses. I'm here to tell you that you can shoot this wide open and use it in a professional setting. But just be aware that that's not always the shot that you might want. You know, for us at least, when we're shooting a scene, if it's that dim, we would rather keep it at f2 or f2.8 and then go ahead and add more light. You know, bring in a light on a stand or open a window curtain or just resituate the scene or whatever it might be. We generally like to add light and get that higher quality image and get that well-lit scene whenever possible. But when you're in a run and gun situation, you can't always do that. And so sometimes you're gonna need those wide apertures, and that's when these things come in super, super handy. They're awesome lenses, and the color matching, they are matching in size and weight. They are matching in their ability to catch light almost. I mean, obviously 1.5, 1.2, slightly off, but again, I'm not very often shooting wide open, so they're both, you know, generally getting, we're able to match our lighting and everything really, really well. Again, the smaller form factor is really cool, but it can also be a bit of a curse. This is just something you should be aware of. If you're like us and you're using a follow focus system on a rig, and you're used to a big long lens, whether it's a DSLR lens or some of those like really large cinema primes or whatever, your follow focus gets to sit a little further away from your body. With these, you can see this is a native mount, so there's no adapter. This is the camera right here, and you've got, what is that, 2 inches, 1.5 inches to where your follow focus is gonna have to sit and hook up to your camera, to your lens here. So for us, that took a little bit of reworking. You know, we had to sort of make some necessary adjustments to the rig as we mount these up because the follow focus needs to be that much closer to the camera. Is it a big deal for us? No, it's not, but it might be for you. If maybe you're really, you know, dead set on having your hand out here when you follow focus and having it this much closer to your body as you're shooting, it's just not gonna work out for you. Something to think about. And then I don't do this. I don't do a follow focus system to my iris pulls, but if you did want to, that's like a 1/2 inch. So that might actually be a bigger issue. I mean, for us on the land part follow focus, I don't think we could, we haven't tried because we don't do that kind of shot, but if we had to use the land part follow focus as an iris pull, I think the camera cage that we use would be too close. I mean, I've done some tests and I think we could get creative and make it happen, but it's not a priority for us, so I haven't made it happen yet, but that's something to think about. If you guys are doing trying to do iris pulls and you're buying these specifically because you wanna be able to hook up a follow focus to that iris ring, you might struggle with that. That could be a challenge. And so, you know, it is a bit of a double-edged sword having these nice small form factor lenses. There's not as much weight to carry around. Weight is a double-edged sword though, you know, with the lighter weight cameras, it's a lot harder to get a stable shot. These are obviously all manual, and as such, they don't have any electronic contacts, and as such, they can't have image stabilization. So if you're the kind of person who's shooting a Sony or the potentially upcoming X-T4, or you're still on the X-H1 with Ibis, that's amazing. Or the the GH5, I think they make these for a Micro Four Thirds mount, correct me if I'm wrong. If you've got in-body image stabilization, then you're styling. But sometimes the lighter weight, the X-T3 is not an image stabilized camera, and because of that, these being so lightweight can be a bit of a curse as well as a blessing, because of the fact that it doesn't add that heavy weight and reduce that jittery shot. We do shoulder rigs. We've got, big batteries attached, and, we use the Ninja 5s. And so, our rigs add enough weight, not to mention the two handles out front, that allows us to really stabilize our shots manually and not require image stabilization, nor do we need the extra weight of a bigger prime lens. But something to consider if you're the kind of person who likes to run just a body with a lens and it doesn't have Ibis, no stabilization, something to think about. And again, not an issue for us, something you should know about. But I think something that's really exciting for these is the fact that all of them are the same size and weight. From the, I think they do a 12 mil, an 18 mil, 25, 35, 50, and 75. If I'm not mistaken, I might have missed one, but they all have the exact same form factor, and they all have the same matching 82 millimeter thread adapter on the front. So all of your variable NDs or polarizing threaded filters or what have you will all fit on these without any step up or step down rings. That's a huge plus. We love that. They are all the same. If for whatever reason Spencer's shooting a different lens, I'm shooting the 25 and decide, oh damn, I need to get the 50 on there, it's like no time at all, because they are, the follow focus is already gonna be in the right place. Everything lines up, everything's the same. So if you're looking to invest in a line of cinema lenses and you wanted to get into the SLR Magic Micro Prime lineup, that would be a really awesome thing for you to do. It would be a great investment, because not only are they unbelievably, affordably priced, I should say. They're not cheap, they are inexpensive. They are exactly matching in threaded size, and your all your focus rings are the same distance from the mount and so forth. They all match, so no sort of adjustments necessary to your rig if you wanted to get that setup going, which is really exciting for us. We really liked that a lot. So couple of factors for you guys there. I can't say enough about these lenses, to be perfectly honest with you. Wide open at f1.2, like I said, they are a little soft, but that's a look that we often want to go for. And since most of our setup consists of a lot of high-end DSLR, the Canon L series, the Sigma Art series, they don't actually have any softness. They're so technically perfect that can be a problem sometimes, if I'm honest. Sometimes you're looking for a little more character in your shots, and rather than trying to add that in post, it's nice to have a lens that can do that. I was actually resorting to using my old Pentax film SLR 50mm f1.7, just because sometimes I'm looking for that sort of softer, more ethereal, look with a few imperfections, if you will. And these have just the right amount of imperfection to them when they're wide open. So the 50 at 1.2 has a little bit of vignetting and a little bit of chromatic aberration and isn't quite perfectly tack sharp, but it's acceptably sharp. And it's got this beautiful smoothness to it. And the same thing is true with the 25 at T1.5. It's got character. It looks so good. And then if you stop it down to f2, you've still got a ton of light collecting ability, and immediately they are sharp through and through, very sharp, noticeably sharper. And again, they were already acceptably sharp, I think. So from f2 all the way through to f16, I find them to be extremely sharp. And one really interesting point, a lot of lenses, when you shoot them all the way stopped down at their maximum aperture, or minimum aperture. The smallest aperture or iris size, whether it's, f16 or t16, or whether it's, 22 or 32 or whatever it might be, when you get to those ranges, sometimes you get what's called diffraction, which is basically the light is having to bend in through such a tiny little opening in the lens and then come back out that you start to actually lose sharpness at some of those higher. And this one's not like that. When you have it stopped all the way down to T16, it's still very sharp, which is kind of a bonus round. That's not something that's very common. So a lot of things that you guys can take out of this. If you have any questions for us, things you wish I'd covered and hadn't, please let us know down in the comments section. If you own these lenses and you have anything to add or say about them, whether it's good or bad, something I missed, something I should know about, let me know down in the comments section below right now. Just go down there, type a quick note. We try to keep up with all of your questions, comments, concerns, requests, all that good stuff down in the comments section. If you liked this video, please go ahead, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos from us, please click that subscribe button. And again, today was gear review day. If you're new to the channel, this is a new year for us. It's 2020, and we're gonna be doing gear reviews all through the year. We're gonna try and get a dozen gear reviews done this year, as well as several other categories. So the last week of every month is gonna be Gear Week, and we're gonna talk about something. So if there's something you wanna see, let us know in the comments section below. We're gonna be talking about lenses, cameras, we might even talk about follow focuses, computers. We're gonna talk about software, anything that you guys wanna know about, let us know in the comments section below. And again, just sort of, do all the YouTube things, like, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. And we will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for stopping by.